Top five, top five, top five.
Since I'll go back with another video, I'm Strange Wang. He is Nate, in honor of the Killers of the Flower Moon, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The movie's been coming out 6 years. You think I would know the title by now. But in honor of that movie, we're doing top 5 Leonardo DiCaprio films. He'll tell you how our top 5s work, and then we'll get into it.
He's going to start with his 5 and 4. I'll start with my 5 and 4, 3-2, 3-2. Then we trade off number 1s. We also have something called the Zemeckis rule, which just means if we both have the same movie on our list, but one person has it 2 spots or higher, then we just talk about it once.
Number 5 for me is going to be Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, that's a Zemeckis.
Wow. I did not think that was going to be a Zemeckis. That's crazy. Number 4 for me is going to be The Revenant. I am a sucker for body language performances.
Yeah.
And with him, without speaking words, to bring that much emotion.
That there's impressive.
Build it up to where you get to that end fight scene and you're behind him so much. It also helps Tom Hardy is such a bastard in that movie.
Sure.
But the body language and everything in that movie leading up to that third act is something special that Leonardo DiCaprio did. And I think he deserved the Oscar personally, but I love body language in cinema. I don't think people talk about it enough. So I like to highlight it on our YouTube channel.
I mean, it probably would have been like my number 7.
And that's my number 4.
Yeah.
The thing about it is maybe because I haven't seen a couple.
It's okay. My number 4, you're going to go,
But I was like, dude only has 7, 8 movies.
It's debatable.
My number 5 is going to be Shudder Island.
I hate that movie.
I think this movie's so overlooked. I think this movie is very good. And he is very good in it. And as an actor to go into a movie knowing that you have to play a guy that doesn't know what's going on, even though you already know what's going on, I think it takes a lot of talent. And the way that he nails that, to me, is very good. I really appreciate it. And then my number 4, I was debating on making this my number. I meant my number 5 when I said there's one you're gonna go on because I kept flip flopping these because I think that he's in plenty of it, and so I almost made it number 5 because he's not in all of it. But I went with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay.
And I just really love him in this movie because he's like the perfect person to cast. Because there's really not too many types of roles that Leo can't play. Like, honestly, I feel like the only thing that you can give him that he's not that very good at is, like, something with an accent. I.e., like, Blood Diamond, or whatever that movie is. Is that what the name of that movie is?
I haven't seen it, but yeah, that's the name of it.
Yeah, he tries to have, like, a South African accent, and it's really bad. But, yeah, to put obviously still incredibly talented Leo, but still an older Leo in this role where he has to play an older actor whose like career is fizzling out and all that kind of stuff. I think he really does a good job of like the jokes that he nails, but also portraying like the feelings this guy is going through of like not being relevant anymore. Really, really worked for me. So, and I just really love that movie. So
Clearly, no debating.
Number 3 for me is going to be What's Eating Gilbert, Grape. If you wouldn't have told me no different, that's a special needs child in this movie. Like, obviously, things changed, and you don't really see that nowadays. You're just going to cast someone with a disability to play that role.
yeah.
But if I didn't know any better, it's the first time I'm seeing Leonardo DiCaprio, which for a lot of people it was, that's a disabled child.
Am I lying?
Number 2, Catch Me If You Can.
It's my number 2.
Frank Jr. is a shyster.
Yeah.
I love shysters. But this shyster is something you don't get with a lot of shysters. You get to see their depth, their sensibility, what hurts them emotionally, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that puts him in a higher realm of my favorite film shysters. So because of that, he had to make this movie. Because just from the charisma and everything. And then you get those moments where you can connect to him. Like how he's cool. There's a lot of things people I think are cool. I think Tyler Durden's cool. I can't relate to Tyler Durden.
Yeah.
I think Rick Dalton's homeboy is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Stuntman.
Brad Pitt?
Yeah, what's the name of the movie? Point being is when you add that sensibility to him, you can relate to him. And because of that, I love this character a lot. And you root for him even though he is doing wrong. And because of that, I had to put it on my list. What's his name?
Cliff Booth.
Cliff Booth, that's his name. That is his name.
Uh-huh.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah, I love Catch Me If You Can a lot. And he actually has to show, like, not just range, but play multiple different characters in the same movie. But not in, like, a Eddie Murphy kind of way. But, like, he has to sell... He can't just sell the other pilots that he's a pilot. He has to sell you, the audience, that he's a pilot. He has to sell you that he's a doctor. And I think he does it really well because that character is a really good example of someone who isn't necessarily educated, but is incredibly smart. And that is a really dangerous combination. And that's why he's as successful as he is through most of the film. He just can't rein himself in towards the end of it. But yeah, like the conversations between him and Hanks are great. The conversations between him and his dad are great. The way he really sells you on this whole, like, if I'm successful enough, I can get my parents back together type stuff. Like, there is real depth to that character on top of him just acting his butt off, playing all these different jobs, basically. So, great movie. Number 3 for me is The Departed. Most of my favorite Leo performances are, like, they're also just really fun. This one isn't fun. This one is, like, he's in the shit, and you're there with him, and I buy every second of what he's doing in this movie, personally. And so to take Leo, who is generally like a pretty polished looking dude, like obviously like in The Revenant he's not, but he's literally like a wilderness frontiersman, so like he's not supposed to be. So you put him in a world where there are plenty of completely well put together people, but you take Leo and you make him this like poor kid from the fucking Southeast or wherever part of Boston he's from in that movie, and just make him this kind of like blue collar, street smart, undercover cop, and have him have to navigate through all this stuff. I think he just sells it really well, and it's like a really different type of Leo performance to me.
You're not wrong.
My number 1, and this is favorites, so even though he's only in half the movie, I still put it all as my number 1 because it's my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio performance, because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. It is Leonardo DiCaprio playing Calvin Candy in the film Django Unchained. He's a real son of a bitch.
He really is.
He's a slave owner.
Mm-hmm.
He is educated, if you ask him.
Right.
And that gives him... I love my villains with a bit of stupidity.
Sure.
Because if their dialogue is written correctly, the audience is in on the joke.
Yeah.
However, this is a rare case where you hate him and can laugh at him at the same time. And it's rare to even... I can't think of another character that I hate that makes you hate them, that you can also laugh at them for being a buffoon at the same time. So to have those elements in there, and for it to build, because at first, like, he's closed off because he doesn't know him.
Yeah.
And then he hits you with that line of dialogue. It's like, you have my curiosity, now you have my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Great fucking line. Just like Django poking him and everything, and him just eating it. And then it building up to the handshake scene and everything. And obviously you got the famous, don't know where to put my hand when I'm acting.
Yeah.
And I have a big cut on my hand because I broke some glass. That wasn't a prop glass. And this is real blood on Shorty's face, and now she's screaming. Just that scene alone is...
Well, that's not true.
Oh.
He did cut his hand and then that gave them the idea to do the blood. But when he is putting blood on her face, it is actually fake blood.
Oh, good.
There's an edit.
Because that would be gross.
Yeah.
So,
But she didn't know that he was going to do it. She thought they were going to go patch him up and they would go on. So, yeah.
So, nonetheless, his performance is insanely good. The way they made him look like a slave owner, really helps. The whole Calvin Candy persona and gimmick, Candyland, is like this over-the-top character, and he plays it so well. I can't think of another person being in that role. Where something like The Departed, he's really good in it. I think Ben Affleck would also be really good in it. They have the chemistry. Let's see how they play against each other. I think that would be cool. There's other elements where I'm like, I think so-and-so could play that role. No one else could be Calvin Candy in my eyes. So that's why it's my number one.
Yeah. It's a good pick. I just talk about Django so much when we do our lists, and I felt like there were enough movies where he has more of the lead that I just really like, where I was like, I can leave Django off this one. But
What? No way!
my number one, maybe it's a little bit of recency bias because I just watched it last week, but my number one is the Zemeckis. That was your number 5, which is Wolf of Wall Street. He is like bananas in this movie, and I freaking love every second of it. Like, his charisma level is off the chart. His scumbag level is off the chart. Like, he is about drugs, money, and hookers. And so, like, he is living, like, that stereotypical rapper's lifestyle while being a rich, pretentious, arrogant white dude. And that, like, dichotomy coming together, I think, is really interesting, and it works really well in this film. But also, like, you were talking about body acting. He has to do a lot of body work in this movie, considering how high he is most of the time. And, like, most people automatically default to, like, the borderline overdosing on Quaalude scene where he's, like, flopping down the stairs to get to his car.
Yeah.
But it's not just then. He does it a lot throughout the whole movie and gets to show off his breakdancing skills a little bit. And so, that's my number one.
Well, Jordan Belfort does talk with his body a lot, and as a, like...
Yeah.
What does he do now? Motivational speaker. Like,
yeah.
That's, like, a part of it. So, like, I'm...
Very emotive, yeah.
Yeah. For me, I couldn't leave it off because, without a doubt, it's his most famous role, if not Titanic. Like, those are his 2 biggest movies of all time. Like, name a bigger Leonardo DiCaprio movie from the Titanic to Wolf of Wall Street. And because of frat boy culture and just, like, male culture in general, they just took this movie and they added it to Fight Club and Pulp Fiction. They're like, you're one of us. You're one of us.
Which is so funny because that movie, it's literally Scarface.
Yeah.
And it has the same point. That this dude is not a good person, and this is what happens when you're not a good person.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Agreed. I think there's so much other great things in that movie to work off of as well. And it's one of those cases where I get so tired of hearing and seeing about this movie where I like it a little less because it's every fucking where.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, oh, have you seen this movie? And they're always going to bring up that movie.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
Let me know your top 5 in the comment section below. Did we leave a movie off? Did we fuck up the list? I don't know. That's why you gotta tell us.
Which don't look up at.
Gross.
I like that movie. It wasn't good, but I liked it.
Well, I'm glad you can admit that.
Yeah.
Leave all your comments and thoughts in the comment section. Scroll back up, hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe.